So I wanted a Space Marine. I wanted a black suit Space Marine. The Raven Space Marine is way too expensive. I had it on pre-order. GameStop kind of screwed me over on that deal, but that's another video if I decide to talk about it. That didn't work out well. And I've always watched miniature painting. I love watching it to try to learn new techniques and stuff to apply to the bigger scale stuff. So this is the first Space Marine I've done except Sully. That was not really a Space Marine. Warhammer. This is from McFarlane. It's the blue one. I decided to do the line work. I wanted to do just the outline. They call it line work on the miniatures on Warhammer. This here it turned out really good. There's a good amount of cleanup and a lot of concentration, a lot of just sitting there. Will I do it again? No, but I'm glad I did it. It did turn out better than I thought it would look on a bigger scale model than a 2-inch model. But it's very time consuming, and it's one of those things where you're sitting down so long you can't stand up straight when you get out of the chair finally, or your eyes go crossed. But this is probably the second thing I've done on this. This is did the left leg there. This is the right leg. It gets a lot easier because you slow down. You kind of want to get it done quickly, at least I do. But I got that. I got this whole thing going where I'm trying to get it done, but you can't rush this process. This is hours of line work. I'm using black licorice for the base coat. I'm coming in now and I'm going to clean up all the lines that I could not keep as straight as possible. Now, are the lines 100% factory straight? No, but they're clean as they're going to get, at least for me. It does turn out really well when you take the time to do it. Now, on the shoulder pads, I know they have water stickers and stuff like that. I wanted flames. I made my own stencil. I took some thin tape, masking tape. I drew some hot rod flames, and I went over top of it with a marker, ink pen. Then I cut it out, obviously here with, a razor blade, X-Acto knife. And before I did it, you can see that in the corners where there's pencil marks, I had to, obviously, before you do this, make sure you map out or measure out how big is, the Space Marine's shoulder pad. This tape is really thin, so it was kind of hard to work with, but I didn't want to have to order something from Amazon, didn't want to get a stencil. I wanted it now, and the only way to get it now was me to make it. Did it turn out good? Yeah, I think so. It was kind of, the first time I've done this, or second time. On the Joker build with the garage, I cut out a stencil, but that was much bigger scale. This is much smaller scale. So, it's really flimsy tape, masking tape. It's really good tape. And it was kind of like, you have to really be careful when you put it on because you can only put it down so many times, obviously, but you have to maybe, you can't lay it flat because the shoulder pad's not flat. You sort of have to bend it around the shoulder pad. And then what my initial thought was, I said to myself, okay, now that I cut it out, I made sure I pushed it down. Really push it down hard because you don't want the paint to seep underneath your stencil. And yet it is kind of a pain to get this lined up, as you can see on the video here. It is kind of a pain. But after you get it and you get it set, it's not bad. I thought to myself, well, I went with yellow and then the top part some orange. And I know my fingernails are dirty as hell. I've been working on my truck outside, doing some Bondo work, I cut out some old rust and all that, doing some fiberglass work, but never mind that. I just want to let you know that I do wash my hands, but I've been working on the truck for the past week, replacing pins in the door and everything else. So I'm going over here now, back to the video. I'm going over here now, and I'm going to airbrush it white so you can actually see the yellow and red, because over top of the black, it would just clunk up, and I'd have to do 1,000 coats and probably still wouldn't get the desired look I was looking for. So I'm lightening it up now with some Vallejo primer, just straight out white primer. And I said to myself, well, I'm not going to go opaque with it. I'm going to leave it a little bit shading in there. I'm trying to pull off some slick stuff here. Really didn't turn out like I thought, but better than I thought, if that makes any sense. And you'll see here when I pull it off that there was some bleed through under the tape, but it wasn't bad. I'll pop back in a minute and let you guys watch this. Okay, now that we're done, I was excited about this part and scared, both the same, because I wasn't sure exactly how this was going to turn out. After I was getting ready to take this off, I was thinking, what's it going to look like? It can't look horrible. I can always clean it up, no big deal. So it wasn't too bad. But what I should see, you can see some of it ran underneath the tape. It wasn't perfect, but it was salvageable. I could fix this. You'll see here in a minute. But before I did that, I should have done this first before I did the flames. Because now I said, wow, now I got the flames all straight where I want them. But I want the outside where it's red now. Outside of the shoulder, I wanted a bright red. But right now I'm cleaning up, as you can see. I just took some licorice black, what I used for the base coat. I'm going in, taking my time, and cutting it in. Now, like I said, I took some play putty, and put it around. I thought maybe I could do some kind of starburst type of neat effect. It didn't work out too much, as you'll see here in a minute. I just wanted that very bright. I wanted opaque bright. It's Createx straight out of the bottle. Well, I mix it 50-50 with some distilled water, but I wanted a bright red around the edge of the shoulder pad. So here I am, some of the paint lifted up from the putty, but now that looks, now I don't want to work with that. So here, got it done, cut it in, cleaned it up. That's about as good as it's going to get. Turned out pretty good. Raw umber is one of my favorite browns. Use raw umber with any kind of leather. And I went with some tutorial beige, and I dry brushed it very lightly over top of the raw umber. Made it look like a sandy, kind of weathered, leathery, bright leather. Here's where I'm taking gunmetal, and I'm going over kind of dry brushing. This is not the best brush to use for a dry brush. It's the smallest one I had. I just didn't want to get onto the base of the suit. I'm dry brushing the skulls and just leaving it that way. I was going to add some more silver, but I decided not to. I kind of like this whole thing looking kind of dull. I love war paint gunmetal gray. It's one of the best. Outside of that, I put some more raw umber right there on the handles of the knife. After I did the handles of the knife, and I didn't really care about getting them really opaque and really putting them in there. I kind of like the dark around the handle. And all thing I did, I went in, I got some gunmetal gray and hit the end of the knives with that. I know it's kind of quick. Same thing, gunmetal gray around the grenades on his chest. Now let's go look at the figure. Okay, this is him when he was blue. This is now after I completed him. Here's the gun. As you can see here, the gun's silver. Up here we go. That's what the gun looks like before I painted it. I didn't do much different. Too much different with... Okay, here he is before and after. Just didn't take him out of the box. This one out of the box yet. I just keep forgetting. But here's the gun, and that's what he looked like. He was blue. The gun there was just a cheap looking gray, and he was blue. But here we go. Now, what I did with them that's what I did with the gun. I just changed it up a little bit. I matted it all out in black, and then took some gunmetal where it's gray, and then some highlights, the rivets in silver. As you can see, the different color silver and gray here. That's it. That's all I did. But I did take a drill and drill out these holes because they were solid. It just looked weird. But never mind all that. Here I went with the head sculpt with this Superman, which is not really Superman to me. I bought this figure for the head sculpt for a different project, but it didn't work out, so end up using it here. I left it alone, didn't really do nothing with it. Like I said, man, this was a time-consuming thing. When you can't sleep at nighttime or it's raining out, this is a great project. If you're going to do something like this, it's probably the cleanest thing I've done yet when it comes to lines in Paint app. It's one of the cleanest, in my opinion. For me, it definitely was something to do that was different, and I do love the Space Marines, and I do love how people customize theirs, and the line work itself is one of the best, I think. But when it comes to painting these Space Marines, now like I said, I won't do it again, but I'm glad I did it. But it's about that, that's all she wrote. I'm not doing this again. I did add some red in the corner of his ribs to make it look a little different. Over here and over there. Just subtle things, The silver on the grenades. Now, like I said, the side turned out really well for just being a piece of tape. I made a stencil out of a piece of tape. It's all you need to do. It don't have to be, expensive stencils from Amazon or anywhere else, but you can see up close here where I hit all of this skulls. If it's focused or not, I don't know. Can't tell. Looks like it is. And I did the dry brush on the pouches, and all the skulls were hit. Minor details, not a big deal. Just small details like that. And some lights on his leg here. That's just silver and red, and over here some blue and red. Outside of that, I left the thrusters down here just in red. I was going to make them look like they were burnt, but I kind of like the solid look. This is more like, I know a lot of people see this that are big, huge Warhammer fans are going to say, well, why didn't you do any battle damage or something like that? I don't know. This is more like his mid is always so loose. This is more like a fresh out of the line cadet, if you want to say. Look at it that way. Here's my suit. I'm ready to go out and rip it up. But I think it turned out really good. It definitely made me be more aware of what's going on when you're painting, trying to keep your line straight. And then, like I said, there was a lot of touch up. But see, I definitely kept every line as straight as possible. I just freehanded it all on there. Now, what I end up doing, and we'll call it quits here in a minute, because I know this is kind of a long. I'm trying to make my videos shorter, but I seem to forget things. Now, when the Space Marine, theoretically, and I don't do them, I don't know, but theoretically, they'll go and they call it highlighting the edges on the side of the brush, you know, just the side of it. You're going down the corner of it, you're going down the side of it with the brush, with not the front of the brush, the tip, the side of it, theoretically. But I started that with this, but when I was like, okay, this isn't working because it's so big. It just didn't, and actually the sculpt here close up isn't really great. The lines aren't great when it comes to the sculpt, and like I said, it's a $20 figure. Now I think this is on sale for Amazon for $12 or $13, but they are very wobbly. But you had to stay right above the edge to make it noticeable, it to stick out and really, you know. It's not really, it's on the edge, but it's really not, if you know what I mean, see? So I had to, and these little ones were a pain, these little vents, like everything, it just takes so much time, but obviously the time pays off because I think it turned out really clean. This is probably one of the better ones I've done so far when it comes to a custom for myself. I even did it behind here, you can see in the back, even did you probably can't tell, but I did the hoses and everything. Very clean, very, very clean. I'm very happy. Like here, you can see, very clean. It's not, you know, I didn't rush it. Just trying to show you how straight I got it. Just not trying to brag, but I'm just trying to show you it just takes time. Little hints of red, like on the top of the wings here. Like on top here in the corners after I rounded it off, edged it out, and then down here. But what I did use different, let me go get it real quick. Let me be right back. Don't go anywhere. What I did differently on this piece right here was I used Vallejo acrylic resin, a matte varnish, 70-520. I don't know if that means anything. I assume it's this particular one, but you should, if you're going to buy, this here may be the next thing. I may be sticking with this. This goes on so smooth, and it's a really matte, and I was going for matte. This is a really nice, clean matte. This is with clear coat. This whole thing's clear coated. Even the flames here, everything's clear coated. It looks so clean, so clean. It comes out of the airbrush so smooth. I did maybe 6 drops to 2 drops with some easy flow. I didn't use distilled water with this. It's easy flow from where paintbrushes. You know what I mean. It worked out well. This is maybe, you can get a big bottle of this for $15. I'm gonna have to go that route because this went on really good. Wasn't real sticky, and when I heated up the figure to put it back together, this didn't really get tacky like a matte finish from a clear coat. Because you got to be careful when you heat these back up to put them back together. They start to get a little tacky, and then that's when the paint starts to run or tear, or smudge is a better word. But anyway, this is my custom Space Marine, my really first one. Turned out well. Here's the one I got, a Target exclusive. They are smaller. I don't know why it's so smaller. Maybe he's supposed to be smaller, but never mind that. But it turned out good, man. I like him, man. He turned out pretty well. I'm definitely glad I did it. I'm glad I decided to outline it. I knew it was going to be time consuming, but I'm glad I decided to outdo the outline technique. If you got the time, you should do it. If not, just work on it here and there. It'll pay off. Just take your time. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being part of the channel. I'll see you guys on the next one.